I discovered that my daughter had removed my surname and adopted her stepfather's. I didn't say a word. I simply stopped paying for everything. I was sitting in the notary's office when she showed me a document. There, in black and white, it stated my daughter's new name, Mariana Costa Ferreira. My surname, Rodriguez, had been erased. In its place was the surname of my former brother-in-law, Roberto, who had married my ex-wife 2 years after our divorce. I felt my stomach churn. The notary looked at me with that expression of pity mixed with discomfort. "You are the biological father, correct?" she asked softly. I simply nodded, indicating yes, took a copy of the document I had come for regarding my mother's estate, and left without uttering a sound. It was 4:15 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I remember the exact time because I had just left an important meeting at the bank where I work as a client relationship manager. I sat in my black Corolla in the parking lot of the notary's office for about 20 minutes, just staring at that paper. My daughter was 19 years old. 19 years that I had raised, that I had provided for, that I had loved with every fiber of my being, and she had erased my name from her life as if I were a failed draft. I didn't call her. I didn't send a message. I didn't go to her mother to start a scandal. I simply put that document in the drawer of my home office, locked it, and continued living. But something inside me shifted at that very moment. Something clicked. If you've experienced something similar, please write your city in the comments below. I read every comment and respond when I can. And if you enjoy stories about people who have been humbled but managed to wait for the right moment to strike back, please hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel. This isn't about revenge, it's about dignity. It's about a father who learned in the hardest way possible that love cannot be bought, but respect must be earned. My name is Fernando Rodriguez. I am 52 years old and I live in Campinas, in the interior of São Paulo state. I've worked at Santander for 28 years and became a regional manager about 5 years ago. I earn well, I won't lie. My fixed salary is 17,000 reais, plus commissions that range from 5 to 8,000 depending on the month. I own my apartment outright in Cambuí, a nice neighborhood in our city. I drive a 2022 Corolla and live comfortably. I'm not rich, but I've never lacked anything, and I've always been able to provide a comfortable life for my family. I married Patricia when I was 26, and she was 23. We met at a mutual friend's graduation party in 1998. She was beautiful, outgoing, full of plans, working as an administrative assistant at an accounting firm and studying for her teaching degree at night school. I was just starting to stabilize my career at the bank, having just secured a permanent position after a 2-year internship. We fell in love quickly, a whirlwind romance lasting 8 months, and we got married at the civil registry with only immediate family present in a modest ceremony at a notary's office downtown in Campinas. The reception was held in a rented hall near Lagoa do Taquaral. Nothing grand, around 80 guests. I spent approximately 12,000 reais on everything, which was a huge sum for me at the time. In the beginning, everything was good. We lived in a rented 2-bedroom apartment in Jardim Anabara. She continued to work and study. I took on freelance financial consulting gigs on weekends to supplement our income. We had plans. We wanted to save money, buy our own home, have children, build a solid life. And for a while, it seemed like everything was falling into place. In 2001, she graduated with her teaching degree. We had a small celebration at home, invited friends, made barbecue. I remember her standing there with her diploma in hand, smiling that smile I loved so much. "Now we will grow our family, Fernando," she said. "Now the good times will begin." And they did, in 2003. Mariana was born. It was a natural birth at the Beneficencia Portuguesa Hospital here in Campinas. I remember holding that tiny baby in my arms, 3,400 grams of pure perfection, dark eyes like mine, a tuft of black hair, a loud cry. "She's ours, Fernando," Patricia said from the bed, tired but happy. "Ours forever." I believed it with every cell in my body. Forever. What a joke, right? But at that moment, it was the truth, the purest truth I had ever felt. The early years of Mariana's life were intense. I worked a lot, leaving home at 7 in the morning and returning at 7 in the evening. Patricia got a job as a pedagogical coordinator at a private school in Takwaral. She was earning about 2,500 Ries back then. We shared responsibilities. I bathed Mariana when I got home, put her to sleep, read her stories. On weekends, I would stay with her so Patricia could rest. I took her to the park, to the mall, to my mother's. My mother, Dona Celia, doted on her granddaughter. "This girl will go far, Fernando," she would say. "You'll see, she has your blood, the blood of a hard worker, an honest person." In 2007, I was finally able to buy our first apartment. It was in the Bosque neighborhood. A new building, 3 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces, 80 square meters. I made a down payment of 120,000 Ries, which I had saved for years, and financed the rest with a mortgage for 240 payments through Itaú. The payments were substantial, Ries per month, but I managed. We moved on a Saturday in July. I remember Mariana running through the empty apartment, beaming with joy. She was 4 years old. "Daddy, my room is bigger," she shouted. I laughed, picked her up and spun her around. "Yes, princess, all of this is ours, truly ours." But my relationship with Patricia had already begun to cool. It wasn't something sudden, like a dripping faucet. It was a drop each day. At first you don't even notice, but when you stop and listen, you realize it's driving you crazy. She started complaining that I worked too much, that I didn't pay attention to her, that I only thought about money. "Mariana is growing up without you, Fernando," she'd say. "You don't see it. You're missing everything." I tried to explain that I worked precisely to give them a better life, but it seemed she didn't understand or didn't want to understand. In 2009, the arguments became more frequent. She started going out more with her friends. School parties, after-work gatherings, birthdays. There was always something. "I need to live too, Fernando," she'd say. "I can't just sit at home locked up waiting for you to come home." I didn't see anything wrong with it. I even thought it was good that she had a social life. What I didn't know was who was part of that social life. Roberto Ferreira. He was the father of a student at the school where she worked, an entrepreneur, owner of a beverage distribution company in the Valinhos region. Divorced at 40 at the time, handsome, successful, one of those men who make everything seem easy, you know? A wide smile, smooth talk, money in his pocket. I found out in the worst way possible on a Friday in November 2010. I came home early because I had managed to finish all my appointments by 5 o'clock. It was about 5:30 when I opened the apartment door. Mariana was at my mother's, as usual on Fridays, and Patricia was in our bed with Roberto. I won't go into details because it's not necessary, but I saw. "I saw everything," she screamed. He scrambled to cover himself with the sheet. I simply turned around and left. I went to Senor Joaquim's bar on the corner of the street where we lived and ordered a shot of Johnny Walker Red Label, then another and another. When I returned home, it was already dark. She was sitting on the living room sofa in a bathrobe, her eyes red. "Fernando, I can explain," she began. I raised my hand. "No," I said. "I don't want explanations. I want a divorce." She cried, tried to approach me, but I stepped back. "Mariana," she said, "think about our daughter." I looked her straight in the eye. "It is precisely because of our daughter that I am not making a scene. But you will leave this house, and I will seek custody of Mariana." Only things didn't go as planned. She hired a good lawyer, a very good one, Dr. Henrique Sampaio, one of the most expensive in Campinas. I don't know how she paid. Or rather, I do know, Roberto paid. And that lawyer destroyed my defense. He portrayed Patricia as a devoted, caring, loving mother. He painted me as a workaholic, an absent father who only thought about work and left his daughter with her grandmother. "How many hours a day do you work?" the lawyer asked at the hearing. 10 to 12 hours, I replied. And how many hours a day do you spend with your daughter? I swallowed. 2 to 3 hours. He smiled, knowing he had won. The judge awarded custody to Patricia. I got visitation rights on alternate weekends and 1 day a week, Wednesday. And the alimony was set at 30% of my net income, which at the time was about 3,500 Rs per month. The apartment remained mine because it was registered in my name, and I had purchased it before the marriage truly gained momentum in terms of assets. She moved out and rented an apartment in Taquaral. 2 months later, she and Roberto officially announced their relationship. Mariana was 7 years old when we separated. She didn't fully understand what was happening. "Why don't you live with us anymore, Daddy?" she'd ask every time I came to pick her up. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't going to badmouth her mother. I wasn't going to tell her the truth. I wasn't going to drag a child into all of this, so I just said, "Mommy and Daddy aren't together anymore, but that doesn't change my love for you." "Okay." She'd nod, but I could see in her eyes that nothing was okay. Not at all. In the first few months, I picked her up every other weekend, as I was entitled to. I took her to Parque Portugal, to Iguatemi Mall, to the movies. I bought her whatever she asked for. Dolls, clothes, sneakers. She liked the Pompili brand. Sneakers cost 150 to 180 Rs a pair. I bought them without thinking. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to feel that even after the divorce, I was still her father. I was still there. But Patricia started creating obstacles. There was always some excuse. "Oh, Fernando, today won't work. Mariana has a friend's birthday party. She's not feeling well today, better come another day. She has a test on Monday, so she needs to study on the weekend." And Mariana began to change towards me, becoming more distant, colder. I felt like someone was telling her things about me. "Daddy only works." "Yes, Mom." I overheard one day when I arrived to pick her up, and Patricia didn't know I was already at the door. He never had time for us. In 2012, Patricia married Roberto. It was a big party in a fancy banquet hall in Valinhos, more than 200 guests. I, of course, didn't go, but Mariana was there and told me all about it with great enthusiasm. "Daddy, there was an inflatable castle and a ball pit, and Uncle Roberto gave me a tablet." Uncle Roberto. That hurt more than I can explain, but I swallowed it, smiled. "How wonderful, Princess. Did you like it?" "Very much," she said, her eyes shining. Life went on like this for years. I worked. I paid alimony like clockwork. On the 5th of each month, an automatic transfer to Patricia's account. I picked Mariana up when she allowed it, trying to maintain some connection. Roberto bought a large house in the Villa Bella condominium near Susas. 5 bedrooms, a pool, a barbecue area, a party room. Mariana got a huge room, all decorated in a princess theme. "It's much bigger than my room at Daddy's," she remarked one day, not maliciously, but it stung deeply. I tried to compensate with gifts. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Children's Day. I spent a lot. When she turned 10 in 2013, I bought her a Samsung laptop, one of those cute pink ones which cost 2,400 Rs at the store. She liked it, but she made a remark. "Uncle Roberto said he'll get me a MacBook when I turn 11. I smiled thinly. "That's great, daughter. You deserve it." Patricia transferred Mariana to an expensive private school, Colegio Rio Branco, one of the best in Campinas. The monthly tuition was 2,800 reais. She called me to inform me, "Fernando, I've transferred Mariana to Rio Branco. This school will open more doors for her future. I need you to pay half the tuition in addition to the alimony." I sighed deeply. "Patricia, the alimony already covers education. It's stipulated in the court order." "I know," she said in that tone, as if she had expected such an answer. "But I thought you wanted the best for your daughter. But if you don't, fine." Roberto said he would pay. It was a trap, and I knew it. If I didn't pay, I was the father who didn't care. If I paid, I was a fool. I paid 1,400 Rs per month, transferring directly to the school's account. As Mariana grew, our meetings became fewer and farther between. She developed her own social life, parties, school trips, outings with friends. Daddy, I can't this weekend. I'm going to Julia's. Daddy, I'm going with Mom and Uncle Roberto to Bahia. Daddy, I have volleyball practice. There was always something, and I always understood, always forgave, always put her first. When she turned 15 in 2018, she wanted a debutante ball, and not just any ball, but a grand one. She called me personally to tell me, Daddy, Mom, and Uncle Roberto are throwing me a 15th birthday party at the Minuano Hall. It's going to be beautiful. 300 guests, an imported dress, a waltz, everything. I felt a tightness in my chest. And how can I help, daughter? There was a pause. Mom said that if you want to participate, you can pay for the banquet. It's 50,000 reais. 50,000 reais. That's almost my income for 3 full months. Let me see what I can do, I said. Okay, Daddy, but Mom needs an answer by next week because they need to sign the contract. I didn't have 50,000 reais saved. I had about 30,000 in a savings account that I had been accumulating for a car replacement. The Corolla was already 6 years old and starting to act up, but I went to Santander, where I work, and asked for a consumer loan of 30,000, 3% per month, with payments of 2,800 reais for 18 months. I took it and paid for my daughter's party banquet. The party was on a Saturday in August 2018. It was beautiful, I won't lie. The Minuano Hall is magnificent, all decorated with gardens, lights, everything impeccable. Mariana was stunning in a Tiffany blue dress that, as Patricia let slip, cost 12,000 reais. There was a DJ, an open bar, exquisite sweets, varied appetizers. I arrived early in a gray suit I had bought specifically for the occasion, 900 reais. Patricia greeted me with a fake smile. Thank you for your contribution, Fernando. Contribution. As if I were just a guest, not the father of the birthday girl. Roberto stood beside her in a dark blue suit and tie, looking very important. He shook my hand a little too firmly. How are you, Fernando? All good. The party is beautiful. I just nodded. Yes, beautiful. During the debutante waltz, Mariana's first dance was with him. Yes, with Roberto. Only then did she dance with me when my turn came. I took her hand and we danced to the song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. She smiled, but it was a polite smile, a smile out of obligation. Thank you for paying for the banquet, Daddy, she said. You're welcome, daughter. Anything for you? She nodded but said nothing more. When the music ended, she ran off to hug her friends who were just arriving. I stayed at the party until about 11 o'clock at night. I had a few whiskeys at the bar, chatted with half a dozen distant relatives who still treated me normally, and left. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. On the way home, I stopped at an Ipiranga gas station on Avenida Norte Sul. I bought a pack of menthol red, something I hadn't done in years, and smoked 3 cigarettes sitting in the car in the empty parking lot. I cried. I cried like a child because I realized I had just paid 50,000 reais to be an extra at my own daughter's party. In the following years, it was more of the same. I paid for everything Patricia asked for. English courses at Wizard, 700 reais a month. Volleyball classes at Club Campanera, 450. School supplies, uniforms, textbooks. When Mariana got into medical school at the university in Campinas in 2020, I cried with pride. She called me to tell me, Daddy, I got in. I got into medical school. Congratulations, daughter. I knew you could do it. She laughed. But Daddy, the tuition is high, 8,500 per month. My stomach dropped. I'll pay, daughter, don't worry. And I started paying. 8,500 reais per month, transferred directly to the university's account. In addition to the alimony, which I was still paying, even though Mariana was already 18, because Patricia had managed through the court to extend it until she finished her studies, as the daughter was in college. In total, I was spending about 12,000 reais per month just on Mariana, and my net income was 17,000. That left 5,000 to pay my bills, apartment, food, car. I was living on a tight budget, but it was okay. It was for my daughter. Only Mariana barely communicated with me. One message a week at best. "Daddy, everything okay?" "Yes, daughter. And you?" "Yes, it's so busy here. Lots of exams and everything." No shared lunches, no visits, nothing. I followed her life through Instagram. Photos in expensive restaurants, beach trips with friends, parties, gatherings, and always Mom and Roberto in the comments full of love. And me, I was the one paying the bills, a living ATM. In 2022, I started dating again. I met Juliana through the Tinder app. She was 38 years old. She was a nutritionist, divorced, no children. We hit it off, started dating, going to dinners, movies. She was affectionate, attentive, made me laugh. 6 months later, I introduced her to Mariana. We arranged lunch at the Italian restaurant Famiglia Mancini downtown. Mariana arrived half an hour late with a sour face. "Hi, daughter, this is Juliana," I said, smiling. She shook Juliana's hand without looking her in the eye. "Hi." Lunch was excruciating. Mariana was glued to her phone, answering everything monosyllabically. She made it clear she didn't want to be there. When she finished, she stood up. "Daddy, I have to go. I have an exam tomorrow. I haven't even finished eating." "But daughter, goodbye, Daddy." And she left. Juliana tried to comfort me. She just needs time to get used to it. But I knew it wasn't that. Mariana simply didn't care. I was the father who paid for everything and whom she tolerated when absolutely necessary. A few months later, Juliana and I broke up. Not because of Mariana, but because I realized I was pouring all my emotional energy into a daughter who didn't want me around. It was destroying any chance I had of being happy in other relationships. In January 2025, my mother, Donna Celia, passed away. She was 81 years old, a sudden heart attack in her sleep. I was devastated. She was my best friend, my confidant, the only person who never judged me. Mariana came to the wake, stayed for about 15 minutes, gave me a quick hug, said, "My condolences, Daddy," and left because she had classes, didn't even stay for the funeral. Patricia and Roberto didn't show up at all. After my mother's death, the inheritance process began. She left a 2-bedroom apartment in Jardim das Pinheiras, debt-free, valued at about 400,000 reais. I was her only child, so everything was coming to me. But I needed documents, certificates, declarations, statements. It was then that I needed to go to the notary's office for an updated birth certificate of Mariana to include her in the proceedings as an indirect heir, because in the event of my death, everything would go to her. And it was on that Tuesday afternoon that I discovered the woman at the office, Donna Sueli, a pleasant lady in her 60s, was surprised when I asked for the certificate. "Senor Fernando, are you the father of Mariana Costa Ferreira?" I frowned. "Mariana Costa Rodriguez is my daughter." She looked in the system. Here it says Mariana Costa Ferreira. The name change was processed in July 2023. The surname Rodriguez was removed and replaced with Ferreira. I felt the ground disappear from under my feet. Removed? How removed? She showed me her computer screen. Here it is. A statement signed by Mariana herself with her mother's consent. The justification, an emotional bond with her stepfather, and the desire to bear the surname of the family she lives with. I exited the notary's office, document in hand, and got into my car. I sat there reading and rereading. She removed my surname, erased my name from her identification, and didn't tell me. Nobody told me. I picked up my phone, opened WhatsApp, found her contact, and started to dial. "We need to talk." I deleted the number and dialed again. "Why did you do this?" I deleted it again. In the end, I sent nothing. I simply called my lawyer, Dr. Mauricio Lopez, who had represented me during my divorce and was now handling my mother's estate. "Mauricio, I urgently need to speak with you." I met him at his office the next day. I brought the certificate. He read it silently, shaking his head. "Fernando, legally, she has the right. She's over 18. She's of legal age. If she wants to remove your surname and take her stepfather's, she can. Your permission isn't required." I clenched my fists. "And what can I do?" He sighed. "Nothing. But I can give you some advice. You are not obligated to continue paying her anything. Support payments cease when she turns 18 or when she finishes her studies. You are paying because you want to. The same applies to university. You can stop whenever you wish." I left his office with that thought echoing in my mind. I could stop, but what if I did? I would lose her entirely. But was there anything left to lose? For a week, I mulled it over, analyzing every interaction with my daughter over the past few years. I realized there was nothing left. She didn't love me. She didn't respect me. I was merely a source of funds, a cash cow, and she had just made that abundantly clear by removing my surname. On February 5th, 2025, on the due date for her university tuition payment, I didn't pay. I simply didn't transfer the money. I also didn't pay child support, disabling the automatic payments, and waited. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3. On the 5th day, I received a message from her. It was Friday at noon. I was in a client meeting, but I saw my phone vibrate. I opened it. "Dad, tuition payment is overdue and everything. Nothing. Hello, nothing. How are you? Only demands for money." I stared at that message for a good 5 minutes. My fingers trembled. I typed a reply. It was short, direct. "Ask Roberto Ferreira," and I sent it. I blocked her number before she could reply. I blocked Patricia, turned off my phone, and returned to the meeting. My heart was pounding, but for the first time in years, I felt something different. It wasn't anger, it was relief. When I returned home that evening, I turned my phone back on. There were 23 messages, 15 from Mariana, 8 from Patricia, all in angry capital letters. "Fernando, you can't do this. Mariana will lose the semester. This is abandoning a child. I will sue." I read them all and didn't reply to a single one. I simply opened a bottle of wine, a Cabernet Sauvignon that had been in the cellar. I sat on the sofa and watched the Palmeiras match on ESPN. On Monday, Dr. Mauricio called me. "Fernando, Patricia has contacted me. She intends to sue you for financial abandonment." I nearly laughed. "Mauricio, Mariana is 22. She's no longer a child, and I'm not obligated to pay for a private university. She can take a sabbatical and go to work, or let him pay, since she's Ferreira now." He was silent. "Yes, legally you are protected, but expect a lawsuit anyway. She will try to intimidate you." "Let her file," I said, and they did. 2 weeks later, I received a summons, a lawsuit for substantial child support arrears. Patricia was demanding that I be ordered to pay 8,000 reais in alimony, plus 1,000 reais for Mariana, for the entire duration of her studies, as well as arrears for the unpaid months, a total of 24,000. The hearing was scheduled for a month later. Dr. Mauricio prepared the defense, arguing that Mariana was an adult, legally competent, healthy, and capable of working, that I had supported her my entire life, paid for expensive schooling, an expensive party, and that her decision to change my surname to her stepfather's demonstrated an emotional attachment to him. Therefore, he should be the one to support her. He attached screenshots from her Instagram, photos of her in expensive restaurants, trips, parties, showing she did not live in poverty. The hearing took place on a hot March day at the Campinas court. I arrived in a suit at 9 in the morning. Patricia was there in heels and a business dress. Mariana, too, with a grim expression. Roberto, predictably, did not appear, a coward. We entered the courtroom. The judge, Dr. Renata Fonseca, a stern woman in her 50s, called the parties forward. Patricia's lawyer, Dr. Helena Cunha, began her argument, painting a picture of a neglectful, absent father who abandoned his daughter at a crucial moment. I listened in silence. When it was my turn, Dr. Mauricio presented everything, bank statements showing all the payments I had made over the years, tens of thousands of reais, the surname change certificate, Instagram screenshots, and testimony from 3 witnesses he had called. My cousin Eduarda, who confirmed that I had always been present and tried to see Mariana, but she didn't want to. Donna Swaley from the notary's office, who testified about the surname change, and Juliana, my ex-girlfriend, who recounted how Mariana was hostile and disrespectful when I tried to bring them closer. Mariana was called to testify. The judge asked, "Mariana, why did you change your surname?" She hesitated. "Why?" "Because Roberto was always more present. He's the one who truly raised me." The judge looked at the documents. "But your father paid for your education, your classes, your 15th birthday party, your university. That's all recorded here. Was he absent physically or financially?" Mariana lowered her eyes. "Financially, no, but he was never home. He was always working." The judge turned to Patricia. "Do you agree that the defendant has always fulfilled his financial obligations?" Patricia swallowed. "Yes, but no more than that." "Yes or no?" "Yes." The judge made a note, and the surname change was Mariana's decision, made without her father's knowledge. Patricia did not respond. Her lawyer interjected, "Your Honor, Mariana is an adult. She has rights." "I am aware of her rights," the judge interrupted. "I am merely establishing facts." At the end of the hearing, the judge rendered her decision on the spot. Denied. She rejected the alimony claims, reasoning that Mariana was an adult, legally competent, healthy, and that her father had no legal obligation to pay for higher education, as it was his voluntary decision. She also stated that it had been proven that the defendant had always fulfilled all legal and moral obligations during his daughter's minority, and imposed a fine of 2,000 reais for bad faith litigation on Patricia and Mariana for attempting to use the court to impose a non-existent obligation. As we left the courthouse, Patricia approached me, furious. "You will regret this, Fernando. You'll see when you need her and she's not there." I stopped and looked her straight in the eye. "Patricia, I will never need her, because it is the one who loves who needs, and she made it very clear that she doesn't love me. And now, if you'll excuse me." I walked away. Mariana stood watching, saying nothing. Neither did I. In the following months, they tried everything. Patricia sent tearful messages. "Fernando, think about your daughter. She'll have to take a sabbatical." I didn't reply. Mariana also wrote, but rarely, trying to evoke pity. "Dad, I know I messed everything up, but I need to finish my studies." At least I read those and deleted them. Roberto, imagine, had the audacity to call me. "So, Fernando, let's resolve this like adults." I replied, "Roberto, she's Ferreira now. Your problem." And I hung up. From acquaintances, I learned that Roberto paid for 2 months of tuition, but then he too stopped. His distribution company fell into financial difficulties during the pandemic, and he was in debt. The house in the gated community was put up for sale. They were going to move into a smaller apartment, and Mariana had to take a sabbatical. She started working part-time at a cosmetic clinic, earning 2,500 reais a month, less than I spent solely on her tuition. My life, strangely, improved. Without the 12,000 monthly expenses for Mariana, money remained. I bought a new Honda Civic Touring, brand new, on credit, but with comfortable payments. I renovated my apartment, replacing all the living room furniture. I bought a 65-inch TV, a beautiful Samsung QLED, which cost 7,900 reais. I started traveling. I visited Porto Seguro, Gramado, Florianopolis, alone, enjoying my freedom. I started going to the gym. I lost 8 kilograms, improved my health, felt good, felt free. In July 2025, about 5 months after the hearing, I was having dinner at the Aoyama Japanese restaurant here in Campinas when I saw Mariana. She was with a friend sitting at the other end of the room. She also noticed me. We looked at each other for a few seconds. She got up hesitantly and approached my table. Hi, Dad. I finished the sushi I was eating. Hi. She looked nervous. Are you okay? I'm fine. And you? I'm fine. I'm working now. I took a sabbatical for a while. I nodded. Good. An awkward silence fell. Dad, I wanted to talk to you. Really? We could meet for coffee? For lunch? I don't know. I took a napkin and wiped my mouth. Mariana, I have nothing to discuss with you. Her eyes widened. But Dad, you made it clear what I mean to you when you removed my surname and took his. I respect your choice, but choices have consequences. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm dining. She turned pale. Dad, please. I was confused. Goodbye, Mariana. I returned to my meal. She stood there for a few more seconds, then turned and left. A few days later, I received a long message from her. She wrote that she had been immature, that her mother had manipulated her, that Roberto had promised so much and delivered nothing, that she now saw who her real father was, that she wanted a chance to fix everything, that she loved me. I read it and didn't reply, because words are easy. Character is shown by actions, and her actions over 22 years demonstrated that I was expendable to her. Today, in February 2026, I am well, more than well. I am at peace with myself. I finalized my mother's estate, sold her apartment for 420,000 reais, and bought a plot of land in Cambuí, a beautiful town nearby where I plan to build a country house for my retirement. I am dating again. Her name is Carla. She is 43 years old. She is an architect and has 2 adult independent children. We get along well. She respects me, values me, and I reciprocate. Mariana is still blocked. Patricia, too. I don't know how they are doing, and frankly, I no longer care. Rumors circulated that they moved out of the gated community, that Roberto owed suppliers, that Mariana was trying to save money to return to university, but couldn't. I feel no pity. I feel indifference, and that is liberating. I realize that fatherly love has a limit. It must have one, because love without respect is humiliation, and I endured humiliation for years, thinking I was a good father. But being a good father isn't about paying for everything. It's about instilling values. And the values I should have instilled in Mariana from the start were that dignity is not for sale, that loyalty is important, and that family are those who are with you in difficult times, not just at expensive dinners and on trips. If you are going through something similar, if you are a father or mother and feel used, exploited, that your own children do not respect you, I will tell you, set boundaries. This is not selfishness. It is emotional survival. You do not owe your entire life to anyone, not even your children, especially if those children treat you like a love ATM. Provide support, provide education, but demand respect. And if you don't receive it, distance yourself. Does it hurt? It hurts a lot, but it hurts less than living devalued. Write below from which city you are listening to this story. If you have experienced something similar, share it. Let's create a chain of support because I know many suffer in silence, thinking they are obligated to endure disrespect from their children. No, you are not obligated. If this story has touched you in any way, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend you know is going through something similar. Sometimes we need to hear another person's story to gain the courage to change our own. And remember, dignity is not negotiable. Respect is not optional. And no surname, no money, no university is worth more than your peace of mind. Today I sleep soundly, owing nothing to anyone, carrying no guilt, having done everything I could as a father. And if that wasn't enough, that's not my problem. Hugs to everyone who is listening, and remember, you deserve to be valued. You deserve respect. And if you are not receiving it from those you love, perhaps it is time to love yourself first. God bless you, and until next time.